Bruce Lee was born in 1940 in San Francisco, California, while his father, an opera singer from Hong Kong, was on tour there. According to the Chinese calendar, Lee was born during the Hour of the Dragon in the Year of the Dragon, so his family often called him Little Dragon. But young Bruce was not like his nickname. He was actually a weak, sick child. His parents gave him the English name Bruce for his American birth certificate. Bruce's Chinese name was Li Junfan, which is a girl's name. His parents were very superstitious and gave Bruce a girl's name to trick the evil spirits. One of their sons had died before Bruce was born, and they were afraid Bruce would die too. Bruce's mother even pierced one of his ears so the spirits would think he was a girl. In 1941, the Lee family returned to Hong Kong. Bruce's father knew some important people that worked in the movie business. They helped Bruce Lee to become a child movie star. Bruce acted in his first movie when he was only 6 years old. By the time he was 18, he had appeared in 20 movies. In the movie The Orphan, Bruce played a gang member who was always in trouble. This was very much like his real life. Bruce didn't like to study, and he got into trouble so often that he was thrown out of school. He spent most of his time in the streets fighting with other kids. As a child, Bruce was small, thin, and weak, and wore eyeglasses. Other boys bullied him, so he needed to protect himself. When he was about 9, he started taking lessons in an ancient Chinese way of fighting called Kung Fu. He practiced every day, and soon he thought about nothing else. Bruce became a better fighter, but knowing Kung Fu also got him into trouble. One day he was arrested after he was in a serious fight where some people were hurt. At that point, his parents decided to send him to America. They hoped he would stay out of trouble there. When Bruce Lee arrived in the United States at age 18, his life changed completely. At first, he gave dance lessons in San Francisco's Chinatown. Then he moved to Seattle, Washington, where his father's friend owned a restaurant. Lee worked as a waiter in the evenings. During the day, he went to school and earned his high school diploma. Then he went to the University of Washington to study philosophy. After a while, he started teaching Kung Fu and later opened his own school. At first, Lee only taught other Asians, but eventually he opened his school to everyone. Some traditional Chinese people or elders were angry about this because traditionally the Chinese didn't teach their fighting secrets to non-Asians. They challenged Lee to fight with one of their kung fu experts. They were amazed when Lee won. The elders never troubled him again. In 1964, Lee married one of his kung fu students, Linda Emery. They had 2 children, Brandon and Shannon. In 1964, Lee also won a prestigious international martial arts championship. A lot of people began to notice Lee. Everyone was amazed by his incredible speed and power. Lee developed a unique style of kung fu. He also concentrated on building up his body. Lee believed that meditation and concentration were just as important as exercise. He read every book he could find on all types of hand-to-hand fighting. He ran, lifted weights, and did everything he could to improve his physical fitness. While he ate, he would hit his hand on the empty chair next to him to make it stronger. He did sit-ups while he watched television. He even kicked and punched in his sleep. He drank flower tea and different kinds of high protein drinks. One way that he made high protein drinks was to put steaks into a blender. In restaurants, Lee usually ordered two meals. His favorite meal was beef with oyster sauce. He also took huge amounts of herbs and vitamins. At parties, he did push ups using only one finger, and he proudly took off his shirt when people asked to see his muscles. In 1965, a television producer who saw Lee perform at the Long Beach Championships contacted him. He offered Lee the part of Kato, a crime fighter, in the television series The Green Hornet. Lee was thrilled, and he accepted immediately. Unfortunately, The Green Hornet was only on television for 6 months. Lee was very popular, but it was hard for him to find other jobs. There were very few roles for Asians in Hollywood at that time. Lee was desperate because he needed to support his family. Finally, he decided to return to Hong Kong to make movies there. In Hong Kong, Bruce Lee was already a star. The Green Hornet was on television there, and his old movies were still in the theaters. A Hong Kong producer immediately offered Lee a starring role in a movie called The Big Boss. Then Lee made The Fists of Fury, which was an incredible success everywhere in Asia. After that, he decided to make his own movie. He was the writer, star, and director of The Way of the Dragon. At that time, it was the most successful Asian movie in history. Lee was both a superstar and a hero to his Asian audiences. Lee did all his own fight scenes, which was unusual. His movements were so fast that he had to slow down for the movies. If he moved at his normal speed, his arms and legs would be a blur on the screen. In his movies, Lee always played the average person fighting for people's rights. Sometimes he fought against foreign invaders. Other times he defended a town against drug dealers. His movies always gave people hope and pride. The people in the audience often stood up and cheered at the end. Soon after, a Hollywood studio offered to produce Lee's next movie, Enter the Dragon. It was a dream come true for Lee. Things were going very well for him, but life as a celebrity was very hard. Crowds of fans followed him wherever he went. He had a beautiful mansion in Hong Kong with an 8-foot stone wall around it so nobody could climb over. Every room was locked to prevent people from stealing. He worked very long hours and he missed his family. Lee started to talk about retiring soon, so he would be able to relax and spend more time with his family. Only 3 weeks before Enter the Dragon was going to open in movie theaters, Lee died suddenly. He was only 32 years old. The cause of death was an unusual swelling of the brain. Lee was in perfect physical condition, so people were shocked by his sudden death. They began to spread rumors about him. Some people said Lee was still alive and would come back someday. Others said envious kung fu masters had killed him. Others said there was a curse on him. Sadly, this seemed to be true when Lee's only son also died young. At age 28, Brandon Lee was accidentally shot during the filming of a movie. Kung Fu was almost unknown outside of Asia before Lee amazed his audiences with his almost supernatural abilities. After his death, Bruce Lee became a legend. Enter the Dragon was a huge international success, and martial arts became popular all over the world.